cops does it take to arrest a comedian for making edgy jokes online? Apparently 5. Irish comedian Graham Linehan, creator behind the beloved IT Crowd and Father Ted, was arrested at the UK's Heathrow Airport for a number of posts he made about trans women.
Pissed off the internet, Jen. The internet is coming to get us.
A condition of his bail is that he's not allowed to post on X, formerly known as Twitter. And as a fellow opinion haver, Twitter poster, and loudmouth, I have to say, this is truly cruel and unusual punishment. It's like taking a pacifier away from a baby. And so this punishment, so cruel and so unusual, alongside a potential stint in prison, has inspired Graham Linehan to seek asylum in the United States as a free speech refugee. We'll get into what was said and what charges he's facing later in this video, but the incident has brought much needed attention to a bigger problem. If we should take in old man Linehan, we're gonna be receiving thousands of asylum applications because the UK is arresting roughly 11,000 people a year for speech they don't like. J.K. Rowling spoke out on Twitter saying, "What the F has the UK become? This is totalitarianism. Utterly deplorable. If they come for J.K. Rowling next, we ride at dawn." But for clarity and legal purposes in the UK, that was a meme and not an incitement of violence. Today, I want to dig in deeper and shed light on all the men and women who have been targeted, harassed, and imprisoned for simply expressing beliefs that challenge the ruling class. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Undoctrination. My name is Maggie, and I am freaking fired up about this Graham Linehan story. Arresting such a well-known comedian signals a certain emboldenment of the UK's censorial organism, and it begs the question, is it even a free country anymore?
No.
These are human rights that are being violated by the British government right now. At what point does their leadership belong among the ranks of other authoritarians who spy on their citizens, jail them for wrongthink, and redistribute their wealth?
I'm your boss, and I'm the boss.
It's like the ship of Theseus thought experiment, but with classically liberal governments and free speech. How long until Great Britain is unrecognizable? I have another video digging into why thousands of people are leaving the country in response to state overreach, with a link in the description. But today we address another question. Linehan's arrest has many asking, how did we get to 1984 in 2025? Well, first, let's go back to the year 1998. Larry Page and Sergey Brin launched Google, J.K. Rowling published Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and the United Kingdom enshrined into law the Human Rights Act based on the European Convention on Human Rights. Article 10 of this act says, everyone has the right to freedom of expression. Let's hear that again. Everyone has the right to freedom of expression. Has anyone informed the Brits? This is excellent news. In fact, James Thomas wrote for Euronews this year that, quote, "It's wrong to suggest the UK is curtailing free speech because it is clearly enshrined in law." Journalism. It says it there in black and white. You have the right to freedom of expression. But that free speech thing, quote, "may be subject to formalities, conditions, restrictions, or penalties as are prescribed by law and are necessary in a democratic society." In other words, we must restrict free speech to promote free speech and democracy?
That don't make no sense.
Modern doublethink is an incredible thing, and the UK has imposed many of those restrictions. Section 4 of the Public Order Act 1986 criminalizes threatening, abusive, or insulting words or behaviors that causes another person harassment, alarm, or distress, including hatred targeting race, religion, or sexual orientation. And most recently, the Online Safety Act, originally a conservative piece of legislation, has granted concerning powers to the Orwellian Ofcom, or Office of Communications. They are lurking in your walls, and by your walls, I mean the timeline and the group chat. Section 1 of the Malicious Communications Act of 1988 and Section 127 of the Communications Act of 2003 are also of importance. They criminalize sending offensive, indecent, or menacing messages intending to cause annoyance, distress, and anxiety. That's pretty broad. Can you imagine being able to send every annoying reply guy or hater to prison for aggravating you?
Right to jail. You're playing music too loud? Right to jail. Right away. You're driving too fast? Jail.
Everyone I know has been annoying, rude, or hateful at some point in their life. No offense. Unless you are literally Miss Honey from Matilda, I doubt you would be totally exonerated if we were able to go through your entire internet history or everything you've ever said to someone.
Oh,
and delete your internet history.
But the UK doesn't prosecute this law equally, and many accuse its left-wing government for going after right-wing opposition, branding the UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer two-tier Keir. Restrictive speech laws have a major problem. They allow those in power to suppress their opposition, which is anti-democratic. The laws we've just discussed have been used time and time again to inappropriately and excessively punish Brits, specifically regarding debates around transgender issues, migration, and crime. One woman, Bernadette Spofford, unknowingly shared misinformation about the terrorist who killed 3 girls at a Taylor Swift dance class. She deleted the tweet within hours after realizing her mistake, but that didn't stop 5 officers from arresting her. She said they, quote, held me for 36 hours in a concrete cell with a concrete bed, like a terrorist. They then blamed her for the riots that ensued following the terrorist attack. Maybe we should look at, I don't know, the actual terrorist as the reason people rioted and not some middle-aged woman on Twitter. Graham Linehan's story was similar. 5 officers descended upon him as soon as he stepped off his plane in London and told him he was under arrest for 3 tweets. One was a picture of a trans rally that he captioned, "A photo you can smell," with the reply tweet, "I hate them, misogynists and homophobes, f them." So he did the "I know it smell crazy in there" meme. Clearly, prison time is in order. And the tweet, "If a trans-identified male is in a female space, he is committing a violent, abusive act. Make a scene, call the cops, and if all else fails, punch him in the balls." Now, I'm not here to defend the content of what he said. You're all intelligent people who can figure out how you feel about it. But I will defend the right to say mean things online, especially if you're a comedian. The right to be a hater is frankly fundamental. The only part of his post that would raise eyebrows in a society that protects free expression is when he says you should punch him in the balls, which he claims is a joke about the height difference between men and women. I'm inclined to believe it was in jest. But regardless, sticking 5 police officers on a man and questioning him in conditions that ended up sending him to the hospital is frankly insane. Maybe you don't feel bad for Graham Linehan. What about Jamila Abdi, the 21-year-old black woman who subtweeted a black football player on Twitter calling him the N-word and got charged with a hate crime? Or the parents of a disabled girl who were arrested for criticizing their daughter's public school in a private WhatsApp group chat? It's evident these laws, specifically the ones targeting so-called hate speech, are easily abused by those in power, especially those who want to shield themselves from criticism or ideological challenges. Not every government official is on board with the UK's speech laws, though. Mark Rowley, the commissioner of the Metropolitan Police around London, said police are busy arbitrating, quote, toxic culture war debates, rather than prosecuting real dangerous crime, and called on the government to limit the resources we dedicate to tackling online statements to those cases creating real threats in the real world. As Graham Linehan wrote, "In a country where pedophiles escape sentencing, where knife crime is out of control, where women are assaulted and harassed every time they gather to speak, the state has mobilized 5 armed officers to arrest a comedy writer." A deeper question the Labour Party in the UK should be asking themselves is what happens when their side is no longer in power, and an opposition angry about past abuses is able to wield these laws like a weapon, the same way they do. In any democratic society, you should never assume power you would not be comfortable granting your enemy, because he will inevitably usurp you.
If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
And in a time where polarization is so high and we're so comfortable with dehumanizing our ideological opponents, speech laws like those which are active in the UK present a real threat. John Stuart Mill, a British philosopher, wrote, "The peculiar evil of silencing the expression of an opinion is that it is robbing the human race. If the opinion is right, they are deprived of the opportunity of exchanging error for truth. If wrong, they lose the clearer perception and livelier impression of the truth." Suppression and censorship do not make for a freer society. It makes for an angrier and more vindictive one. And if the UK is to save themselves, a good place to start is by respecting the rights of their own citizens. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me hear your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to click like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. I'll see you all next week. Ciao.